What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content you watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the May 28th, 2022 edition of Talking Smack. Once again, back in the studio, Jackie Redmond and Matt Camp breaking down SmackDown from Friday. Worth noting about this episode, no special guest analyst this week. No JBL, no Jerry Lawler, no Sam Roberts. And sometimes, very rarely does the analysis help this show, make it more entertaining, kind of like for the back and forth. Really, to me, the extra talking head, as I've said before, it's nice breaking up the monotony of the show and not just relying all the analysis and the talking, not just relying on Jackie and Matt for that. But usually, it's just kind of adding on more time to the show than what's necessary. For Talking Smack to be fucking nearly 30 minutes is a complete waste of time. This episode, without the special guest or whatever, and only the interviews backstage and everything else in between, was around 24 minutes. That, to me, makes more sense. And I don't think that's a formula they're going to stick to. They're going to keep bringing back the same four fucking people, JBL, Booker T, Jerry the King Lawler, so on and so forth, Peter Rosenberg, Sam Roberts, 4 or 5 people. You know, whatever. I just prefer the shorter shows because there really is nothing worth noting about Talking Smack these days, or Raw Talk for that matter. In the interviews backstage, you would think, with 25 minutes, they can give these backstage interviews like 5 minutes. Nope, that's not how it works at all. They waste the majority of the time, as they do on Raw and SmackDown itself, on the replays, on the commercials, on the recaps, and everything else in between, and pointless analysis. That is exactly the same formula they apply to Raw and SmackDown, and now we're getting it on Talking Smack and Raw Talk as well. So anyway, in the studio, Jackie and Matt run down the biggest headlines from SmackDown on Friday before recapping the Ronda Rousey-Raquel Rodriguez versus Natalya and Shayna Baszler tag team match that was won by the team of R&R and R&R, Ronda Rousey and Raquel Rodriguez. Say that 5 times fast. Backstage, Kayla Braxton interviews Shotzi, who was locked in the back by Aaliyah. After Sheena and Natalya went out to the ring, Shotzi went back into the locker room to get her helmet. Aaliyah, after she was locked in the locker room a couple of weeks ago during Ronda's initially open challenge, Aaliyah returned the favor by locking Shotzi in the locker room. Compelling television, I know. So Kayla says, listen, the door's been open the whole time. Shotzi's like, no, it was locked, blah, 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 blah. I'm not sure when Aaliyah walked away, but Shotzi thought it was locked the whole time. So Kayla says, I think this was Aaliyah's way of just getting back at you, so maybe look at it that way. And Shotzi said, no. Listen, what Aaliyah did to me was cruel. I respect my peers. I'm not focused on playing any more mind games, but rather on my next opportunity. That is where my sights are set right now. That's where my sights are set at the moment. And she said she deserves to be at the top, and she's sick of other people like Raquel and, Aaliyah and people like that getting in her way of getting an opportunity at that SmackDown Women's Championship. Matt Camp says back in the studio that Raquel is getting what she's earned, and that being more opportunities at the title, building momentum, picking up wins. Shotzi, rather, on the other hand, he says, doesn't deserve opportunities. And honestly, Matt Camp is right. I love Shotzi. From a personal standpoint, of course, she deserves more opportunities. No shit. But from a storyline standpoint, she has done nothing to earn a title shot. I can't even remember the last fucking match she won on television. It would probably be... honestly, I was going to say she's never won a match on SmackDown. I don't know if she's won a single match as a heel since October or November or whenever she turned. I know she won a couple matches with Tegan. In tag team action, has she won on her own at all? I honestly don't even know. But anyway, he makes the point, listen, improve your win-loss record, and maybe then you'll get a championship opportunity. He was correct. Matt Kemp also adds that Randy Orton's status is up in the air right now, as Riddle alluded to on Raw, but that we are getting a championship contenders match on Raw this coming week. I don't think this was announced on SmackDown, but it was announced here. It's going to be the Usos taking on Riddle and Shinsuke Nakamura in a championship contenders match. Not for the championships, but if the babyfaces do win, they will earn a championship shot at a later date. I would assume Riddle and Nakamura will win and then get the championship shot at the pay-per-view. I like that they have to earn the shot. What I don't like is that they're beating the champions. I think that's stupid. Whatever happened to, old school TV or whatever, I'm just kidding. But whatever happened to number one contenders matches and stuff like that? Honestly, without having the champions get pinned, whatever. But that's what we're getting on Raw this week, so that wasn't an announcement worth noting from this episode of Talking Smack. They then recap Jinder Mahal and Shanky losing to Los Lotharios, Backstage, Caleb Braxton is interviewing both members of Los Lotharios, that being Angel and Humberto. Humberto doesn't understand what Shanky was doing out there when he was gyrating and attempting to dance and all this other sort of stuff. Angel says they're better at dancing than those two, than Jinder and Shanky, and they're also better at wrestling as well. And he says everyone is on notice, and you better, I think he said watch your ladies, but I'm not 100% sure. I couldn't understand what he said. I think he said watch your ladies, which would make sense given their gimmick, where they steal your girl or whatever. Anyway, so Matt Camp praises Los Lotharios as a potential threat to the tag team titles. He wants to see them challenge the Usos, and I agree. I know it would be heel versus heel, but I think that'd be a great match. And he says that they need to put a target on the backs of the Usos by continuing to rack up wins and build momentum. They then replay Gunther and Ludwig, not Ludwig, but Ludwig now. Kaiser versus Ricochet and Drew Gulak, winning that tag team match. Did Gunther and Kaiser. Before recapping the main event, Drew McIntyre and the New Day taking on and beating the Brawling Brutes in six-man tag team action. And I fucking hated it when he said this, but Matt Camp said, the Brawling Brutes are always looking for a fight. They may not be done with Drew and the New Day. And I'm thinking, just God forbid, end the fucking feud, please. Holy shit. This is going on forever. Move the fuck on. Holy shit. New Day backstage. They're with Drew being interviewed by Caleb Braxton. They joked. They're like, nobody knew it was going to be Drew. We checked social media all week long. Nobody guessed Drew. And obviously everyone knew it would be Drew. So I thought the tongue-in-cheek remarks, which New Day is very good at, but the tongue-in-cheek remarks there from New Day and Drew I thought were very well done. But Kofi Kingston calls Sheamus a stupid face, and then they leave to ride a private plane. So that was the interview in a nutshell. It was dumb fun. It was mostly dumb more than it was fun, but it was what it was, I guess. Matt Camp says it's all about Drew Day right now, recaps the main event, says a whole lot of nothing. That was that. And then to close out the show, they promote the return of Madcap Moss next week. Holy fuck, just give the guy a new name. I mean, I don't know how many millions of viewers will be tuning in to see the return of... the fact they're promoting Madcap Moss's return, but not Drew's. And they did mention that Drew would be back on the show last week. They didn't overly advertise it because they probably wanted that to be a surprise in the main event, which it wasn't. But the fact they're advertising that and expect people to care, to me, is hysterical. That is just funny. So I would love if he came back with a new name. He probably won't because that's just whatever. That's what they like to do. And they also promoted the Championship Contenders match going down on Raw as well between the Usos and the newfound duo, the newly created duo of Riddle and Shinsuke Nakamura. So that's going to do it, guys, for my review of Talking Smack for May 28th, 2022. Thank you guys for checking out my review. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. And that's about it, guys. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.